Hey everybody, we are ready to get started with our Christmas in the Country project, and it has 4 pages, as you will have seen because we've done the walkthrough. I've already made 3 of the pages, and I'm going to show you how to make one when I make the 4th. We're not going to start with the cover as we often do in my videos for a couple of reasons, but one thing that I wanted to do, because I do show in almost every video that not every video but every project, make very similar covers, and I've done it over and over and over again. So what I think I'm going to do is make a couple of videos showing how to make base pages, how to make covers, and that way I can just refer you to those videos if you need it, and just show you sort of a quick run through of how I made the cover for each project. That way we're not spending 20 minutes of every project making the same cover over and over and over again. So I'm going to make this cover, the cover for this book, record it, and I will refer you to the separate little short video for how to make the cover. Okay, so I hope that's okay with you. Comment down below if you don't like that idea. I just feel like I'm, like I said, recording and explaining how to make covers so many times, and you might be getting sick of it. But in any case, let's get started with this. Let me show you the pages. And again, I've already made 3 of them. So what you're going to need, and there is a cut list for this. I've probably already referred you to it, but in case I haven't, it'll be on my blog, and I will link it down below. So you're going to need 4 pieces, 9 1/2 by 6. And then you're going to need 4 pieces, 8 1/2 by 6. Okay, set aside the smaller pieces. The larger pieces, you want to put the long edge across the top of your scoreboard, the 9 1/2, and score it 1/2 inch and 9 inches. So that's a 1/2 inch at each end. Okay, and again, we've done this a lot, so you've probably seen it before. And before I fold those, I'm going to go ahead and trim my corners. You want to trim only in this little 1/2 inch area. Don't cross the score line, and just trim a little bit off each corner. This is not necessary. You don't have to do it. I just like to take a little bit of that bulk out. There we go. Now when you score, your paper is in your scoreboard, you take your tool and score, and it makes a little divot in the paper. And on the opposite side of the paper, you get a little bump. Okay, you want to fold towards that bump. Okay, and I'm going to fold, and we're going to burnish that really well. And do the same on this side. And you can use whatever adhesive you want to use. I may mix it up and use some score tape and some glitter glue. Some albums I use all score tape or almost all score tape. Others I use almost all glitter glue. Lately I've been using mostly glitter glue, but we'll see. Speaking of, that's what we're going to use for this part. Alright. So we're just going to put a little glue on the outside of one of the tabs, not the other one yet. And again, you could use score tape here if that's what you prefer. There really is no hard and fast rule about it. Okay. And just making sure I have a baby wipe handy. A dry baby wipe, don't use a wet one. Okay. And then you just want to line up corners. So I just took the short piece, the 8 1/2 inch piece, laid it on top, and lined up the corners. I'm just pulling it up towards me so that I can see. That looks pretty good. And I want to burnish that. Okay. Then I'm just checking for fit on the other side. It looks good. And you want to put some glue on this tab. Okay. And again, you want to line up the corners. Burnish them down. Okay, and if you get a little bubble in yours, just give it a good burnish. It'll lay flat. Okay, there we go. So now repeat that for all four so that you have 4 pages. Okay. Be right back. I'm going to move my laptop because the fans just came on and it's probably very loud on the video, and then we'll get started with adding our elements to these pages. Let's get started making our pages. And I may have told you in the flip through that my inspiration for this book in some ways was my Spring Farmhouse Square album, and I will post a link to that down below. It's one of my absolute favorites, and one of the pages in that book was a flap that had pockets on it, and even though that was a square book, this is a rectangular one. We are going to replicate that. So we have our base, and as you can see, I wrote on it what I was going to put on it. And then let me give you your pieces, and I actually had to adjust some measurements, but all of this writing is going to be covered. So for the flap itself, you need a piece 5.5 by 8.5, and you want to score one long side at 1/2 inch. For the first pocket, you're going to need a piece 6, and you can say I wrote 6.5, but it's actually 6. 6 by 7. Score both long sides, one short side. For pocket 2, you're going to need a piece 5 by 6. Again, I had to cross out the half because I originally had it wider. Again, score each end and across the bottom. So the 2 of the 5-inch sides, 1 of the 6-inch sides. And then for the pocket on the back, you're going to need a piece 6 by 4.25 and score 2 short sides, 1 long side. And then for the flap on the back, you're going to need a piece 5.5 by 6 and score across 1 short side. All right, so let's set aside the back pieces and start with the flap. And I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish that. And let me get my bone folder and trim the corners. Okay, and I'm going to burnish that from both sides, make sure we get nice and flat. And then I'm just going to trim. Okay, so there is our flap, and here's our base, and it's got the openings, and this is going to go here, and it's going to be held with a magnet, which we shall put on in a little bit. Okay, so we set this aside for now because I'm going to put the pockets on it first. All right, so pocket 1 is a taller pocket, and then we have a shorter pocket on top. And this book has pretty wide gussets, so I'm just going to go ahead and stack these. Sometimes I just will use more like folded pockets or something like that with a lot less bulk than what this is going to produce. But I really want to be able to put things in these pockets, so we're doing it this way. And as you can see, I've trimmed my corners, and I'm trimming out the bottom corners as well. And I might as well do this one while I'm at it. Let's trim the same way. Right, those out of the way. burnish. As always, when I do my pockets, I want the sides of the pockets to be underneath the base of the pocket. Just makes it less likely that things will catch on the base when you're putting them in there. Although there's such a deep pocket, it wouldn't matter that much if they did. And you can use score tape for this, and I may use score tape for some of this as we go along, but I'm starting out with my art glitter glue. So I'm going to put a little dot there, and a little dot there. And I'm just going to press that down, burnish it a little bit. It doesn't have to stick, you know, permanently right now. It'll stick eventually anyway, but just to make the pocket a little easier to handle. And let's take our flap piece, and probably should have dry fit this before I put the glue on it, but I think it'll be all right. And we are just attaching that, and it does fit fine to the front. So there we go, and then the second one is going to go right on top of it. This one I will dry fit before I add glue. Out of the way so you can see. Of course, those are going to go to the inside. And turn that over, give it a good burnish from this side. Okay, there we go. And now let's see, try that for a fit. It looks good. I always worry when I'm doing anything in that 6-inch range because my trimmer doesn't do very well at that measurement. Again, this is going to add quite a bit of bulk to this flap, but I'm okay with that because, like I said, I wanted something that I could add. I'm just pushing that down a little bit to get it down the bottom. You know, add a lot of stuff to. Looks like I didn't line those up terribly well at the bottom. Oops, there's my kitty. What's the matter? That's a pin. That's a pin. Nope. Gonna go? Good girl. Good girl. Okay. I was saying that I didn't line these up terrifically well on the bottom, but that's all right. It'll be fine. Now, I'm going to turn this over, and it's going to be, the flap is going to go here, right? And then the pocket is underneath it. And so I need to trim these corners. Actually, I find it easier to trim those corners after I've folded and burnished. And I'm going to round also these corners here. There we go. grab my corner rounder. Okay, these little handles keep coming off. All right, I'm going to do the 1/2 inch. Okay. And 1/2 inch. I need to clean this out. I don't know if you're aware if you have one. Hang on. This top part opens up like this, and then you need to clean out this little catch-all inside. Let's see if I can just shake it out a little bit. Okay, I think it probably needs more than that, but that'll do for some of it. As you can see, this is what I was saying, these are just coming off, so I just keep pushing them back on. Okay. All right, so that's the flap. Let's check that for fit. Make sure we're putting it at the top. I'm just going to turn it over so that I can see it better. I think I need to trim just a hair off one side. Hang on. Okay. All right, one of my projects is definitely to figure out a way to make room for my trimmer so I don't have to move over to trim things. And I'm going to re-round that corner. This one. There. Okay, let's see how that fits. Double check. Yeah, this is the top, this is the bottom. Okay, yeah, that's much better. Okay, let's add that. And as you can see, there's a little bit, maybe a 1/16 of an inch gap between the flap and the hinge, but that's on purpose. We don't want that hinge to bind up. And we don't want the flap to catch on it either. So, okay, so there's that, right? Nice and big, plenty of room for a picture on both sides of that flap. Okay, and then here's the pocket. I'll go ahead and do a dry fit before I even fold it. Looks pretty good. Right. Nice and flat. Okay, you're not going to get a chance to do it again once it's in the book. So, all right, and let's go ahead and make sure it's a good fit before we glue it. It fits perfectly, but I feel like I want to make it a little narrower here. Let's see. Yeah, pushes out a little. Okay, what I'm gonna do is grab my scoreboard and just make another score line and see if we can't make this, and just do whatever adjustments you need to do on your particular one. You can see, I didn't even do a full 1/8 of an inch. Oh, you know what? I did it on the wrong side though. Oh well, it'll be all right. And I'm re-trimming my corner. That over. Just using my bone folder to try to force it over a little bit. As once I've folded it, scored it, burnished it once, it doesn't really want to fold into a different spot, but you can make it work. Okay. There we go, that's much better. I do not have any idea what my cat is playing with to make such a racket over there. She was in my stash a little while ago. And it sounds like she might have a piece of paper. Line this up with this outside edge and the bottom, and again you're going to have that little, just a little gap right there. Okay. Right. Perfect. Okay, and then we're going to put in a magnet. So let me grab a magnet. Got some score tape. I'm almost out of magnets, but I have some on the way. Oops. Now, all right, let's see. I didn't leave myself a lot of room with this pocket. All right, I could put it up there. I don't want it under the pocket because we're going to have so many mats and things that the fewer layers it has to stick down, the better. Just trying to put the pin in my glue here. Okay. But if we put it too, I don't know what it's, oh, I know, there's a hinge on my table. If we put it too close to the edge, it's going to be hard to mat. I think we can do it. All right, I'm going to do this one and we'll see where it ends up there. All right, so I'm going to put this, hopefully that's good enough. It's still a little higher than I'd like, but I don't think I can go any lower. Let's put that there. All right, now let me grab a scrap of something. This will do. That. That ended up pretty close to that edge there, but I can work with that. We can make that happen. Okay, there we go. All right, so there's our flap assembly, and then we need to take and attach that to the page. All right, we're going to attach it to the left side of the page. So we have an opening here, an opening here. It's solid top and bottom. And here's our flap, and we're going to just attach this right here along this edge, the left-hand edge. Okay. So I think I'd like to use score tape for this, I think, but I am out of 3/8 inch score tape. You know what? I can use 2 pieces of 1/4 inch overlapping. That's what we'll do. Burnish that really well. Now, and I've got some 3/8 inch score tape on the way to me also. Fortunately, Country Craft Creations has nice fast shipping, so I should have that shortly, although they're on their way to Texas for a retreat. And if you if you're not familiar with Country Craft Creations yet, or their store, their fun retreats, you definitely need to check it out. I'll have links, of course, down below to the store. All the information's there. I'm just lining this up right along that edge. I'm matching up my corners. Right. There we go. And it's not bad. It's kind of sticking out a little bit there, but it's all right. All right, so that's going like that, right? Now, we still have to, we've put a magnet here to hold this flap down. But we also are going to need a magnet here to hold the flap to this base. And so I need one more magnet. And fortunately I have just one more magnet. And we're going to add that one. Okay. I just use the scrap to make it easier to lift the magnet. Oops. All right. Okay. Now we're just going to fold that over, squish it together. And there we go. All right. And there's that. Okay. There is page 1. And get that up to the side. And then on the back of this page, we are going to do a policy envelope that we're just going to kind of float in the middle of the page. But I'm not going to do that yet because that one has to sit on top of the designer paper, which of course we're not going to do just yet. All right, so let me, we'll move on to the next page and we'll get back to that policy envelope piece. And I just want to give you measurements. Should have it. Hang on. Okay, so for the policy envelope, which we're not going to do yet, but you cut and set aside. Of course, you've already got the cut list, so you probably already know it. We need a piece 7.5 by 9, and just cut that and set it aside. You can just mark it policy envelope because it'll be matted, so set it aside. All right. So we finished with our first page, which was the pocket flap, and we're not going to do the second page because we need to mat it. So this is going to be the 3rd page. I'm going to set aside those are for the 4th page. So we're going to do just a horizontal pocket, and you need a piece 7.5 by 4.5, excuse me, 7 by 4.5. And let me grab my scoring tool, which, hang on, what do I do with it? Oh, right in front of me. Okay, you're going to score both short edges or sides and one long one at a 1/2 inch. Okay, and I'm going to trim out the corners. Fold in with the bump to the inside. Okay. Before I finish burnishing this, I just want to check it for fit, and that looks good. And so I'm just going to burnish it from this side as well. And again, I'm using my art glitter glue. Oh, that was kind of a lot. Well, and just felt like the corner was not really sticking down really well. Just give it a good pinch. So that's an easy one. And I'm going to turn it over. Now on this side, we're going to do a narrow flap, and then we're going to center another piece on it. And you may remember, if you saw my, let me give you these measurements, and then I'll tell you. 4 by 8.5 for this piece. And then this piece is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. Let me put the pin in my glue. So when I did my Prima Spring Farmhouse album, I did a flap page. It had a small flap. And I said at the time that I had forgotten that I had the journaling cards. And had I remembered I had the journaling cards, I would have made that flap of a size to actually fit one of the journaling cards. So I do have the journaling cards for this collection, and I've sized this page to accommodate that. And this piece is going to hold that journaling card. If you don't have them, you want to resize it, or you have something else, feel free. But it is designed to hold something 4 by 6 with a good sized double mat on it. Fold that to the inside. inside. Burnish that well. And then let me just check it for length. That looks good. Okay. This piece is going to go, all right, along this left-hand side, right? So this is, let me double check. This pocket is here. Yes, going here. And you can see, as I pointed out earlier, that I've written on right on these because I know they're going to be covered with mats. You can do the same. You could even put a little arrow pointing that way if you know, if you want to make sure you put the flap in the right place. Whatever works for you. Just realized I did not have my microphone on. All right, I hope that you could hear everything I was saying. If not, I'll either do a voiceover or here we go. I will do a just draw blank, either a voiceover or something on the screen. Now I need magnets. Okay, let me grab my magnet. I want to put this piece on like this, but this needs to be matted before I do that. And I think that, thinking to myself, I think I'll wait to put the magnet, because I'm going to put the magnet on the back of this piece, I think. Oh, got a little dent there on that paper. Yeah, let's wait. All right. I'm just going to paper clip that there and put that on later. Okay, so now we've got pages 3 and 4. And let's see, this is, oops, that's the little belly band that's going to go on the back of this page. Put it over here. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to do a vellum pocket here, and we're going to do 2 flaps. So let's do the flaps first, and then we'll add the pocket. So for the flaps, you need 2 pieces, 4.5 by 8.5. And we are going to do those exactly the way we just did the other one. So you're going to score it at 1/2 inch down the long side. You can see. You're going to do that for both pieces. Corners. There we go. Okay, what happened with that? Did not want to. Just want to make sure that's straight. Okay. So one is going to go on one side, checking it for fit. And the other one is going to go on the other side. Okay, looks good. Not yet decided if I want to round those corners. I feel like I probably will not, but we never know, we might. All right. Go. And I'm just going to burnish everything. Now, just get this out of the way for a moment. This one we will go ahead and put the magnet. All right, grab my score tape. And I'm just going to center this about there. Okay. And I'm just going to use this piece as my scrap. Whoops, didn't want to come off. Let's try that again. Still doesn't want to come off. Okay, these magnets are so sticky. All right. Well, come on. There we go, finally. Okay. And we could have put this magnet underneath, but again, I plan on adding quite a bit of embellishments and stuff, so the fewer layers it has to go through, the better. And I wonder, I think I'm just going to grab a scrap if I've got one handy of something. I don't see them. Just so when it's closed, it's got something. Okay, so now we're going to do our vellum pocket. I want you, all right, so vellum, I get my vellum just at the office supply store. You can buy it there. You want to score 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. And if you've not worked with vellum before, whoops, got my pen. Even if you have, vellum is very tricky. Go ahead and grab this. And I don't think I gave you the measurements. I'll give you the measurements. 7.5 by 7. All right, so let me just, yeah, this is the 7.5. So, all right, so on my little tool that I score with, I typically will use this smaller end. With vellum, I'm using the larger. Okay. Vellum is very fragile. It's extremely easy to poke right through it with the tool. So I find it's best to sort of sneak up on it, I guess is the word I want to use. You're just going to score it very gently, maybe 3 or 4 times with a larger tool. Okay. And the other thing with vellum is once it is folded, it doesn't want to unfold. So I'm going to, I think, do 2 sides and then do my dry fit before I do the other long side. Okay. This piece is going there, and I'm going to take my pencil. Just a very faint little mark, just so I can check it against, and it's right on the 1/2 inch, so I think we'll be fine. Corners. Let's get that out of the way. I think I was saying earlier that I get this at the office supply store. I'll also link, if I can find the same brand or similar brand, I'll link it below. I've had mine for quite a while. I don't use it that often, but I think it adds a nice touch. Now, you can also get, I don't think I have one handy, but I've got some that have like little snowflakes, glittery snowflakes on the vellum, which is really pretty, but I didn't want to use something that you might not be able to get. I knew you could get this vellum, or at least one much like it. So again, this is a little tricky to fold. And you can see it wants to fold in this direction, so that's the way I'm folding it. Take your time with it. Be careful with the burnishing so that you don't burnish right through it. And I'm just going to do one more fit, although if this doesn't fit, we're pretty much stuck with it. It's a little large, to be perfectly honest. Let's see. Yeah, see? Even though I did a dry fit, I think it's too big. Well, so you'll see what I mean when we try to refold this. May have to cut another one, but we'll see. Go ahead over one more 1/8 inch. Whoops, I want to use the other side. I would rather have a pocket like this be too small rather than too big. And I also gave myself that full 1/8 inch, even though it's probably a little too much, because to try and refold this too close to the original fold would be very difficult. So let's see. All right. Oops, see that? It wants to go on the original fold. And I'm just going to trim this extra. Now, once this is in the book like this, there's going to be a lining piece, mats, I should put it this way, so you won't see any extra line where I've done that, but I'm going to go ahead and trim it. Okay. I just stuck it in my paper trimmer and gave it a little trim. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Fold up the bottom. Okay. Just there. Okay. And I'm going to use my art glitter glue. And I'm not going to worry too much about it, you know, showing through, because again, this is not going to be visible in the end once it's got its matting. Oh, put a little too much glue right there. I think you can probably see how, oops, trim that corner. That now that I've got this folded, it's staying crisply folded. It doesn't come undone. Okay. All right. What you could do if you wanted, and I'm just wondering if I want to, is you could tear the top of that so that it's not a perfectly straight line. I've already put the glue on it, but you know what? I'm going to. So I'm just going to pinch it and just tear it across. Just like that. Just so it's not so perfect. I don't like that little point right there. So let's tear that. Okay. I got a little glue right there, so I'm just wiping that off. There. And sorry, nothing like making a last minute design change. I'm just grabbing some ink. I'm going to ink that edge. That was Vintage Photo Distress ink. And I'm trimming these corners. There. Okay, there we go. Never be afraid to change your mind at the last minute about something. Here we go. Careful when you're burnishing this. You don't want to tear it. It is very fragile. Once it's in there, it's pretty strong, but just dealing with these folds and things, you can cause some damage. feel like that corner just wants a little more glue. Okay, there we go. All right, so there is that one. Okay, let's flip it over. And the next one is going to be our belly band, and I decided to do a diagonal belly band. So I've cut a piece. This is longer than we need, so if you have a scrap a different size, it would probably work for you, but this one's 9.5 by 2. Although I don't think it's too long. And it's really just a case of deciding exactly how we want it to go. And I think I'm going to do a measurement here. Put that there. And let's say 3 inches. Actually, I might want to, it's about 3 inches across the bottom here. And let's do 3 inches up. Puts it right there. I think that's pretty good. So what I'm going to do is, hang on, grab a clear ruler. All right, so I've got it held where I want it. And whoops, well, I had it held where I want it. I should put a piece of tape, really. Well, I'm just going to keep eyeballing it. All right, so we want it to be about 3 inches up. It's right there. And I want to make a mark that is 1/2 inch there. Okay, and then let's make sure this one is 3 inches, and it is. And we're going to make another mark on this side that's 1/2 inch, like that. Okay. And I'll get my big scissors, cut it. Okay, I'll cut this one. Okay, and then let's grab our scoreboard. And we're going to lay the cut edge in the scoreboard and score at 1/2 inch. Okay, just turn it around. I'm going to score this one at 1/2 inch. Like that. And fold them. Now before I trim off my corners, I'm just going to do a dry fit for it. Make sure everything's lining up pretty well. Looks good. Okay, so let's just trim off. You can see we have these huge pieces overlapping. So we're just going to get in there with our little scissors. Trim these. Okay. Looks good. So I've got a little tiny, like a little point right there that's sticking out a little more than I want. Just gonna trim that a bit. That's good. Right. Just going to put glue on one corner to start. make sure it's where I want it. Right. That's good. And put this piece down. It's not as straight as it might be. There we go. All right. That's going to be nice. All right. So that is that. And let's see what we have. Okay. Now we're going to skip the next page, which would be 7, because that's another one where we're going to need to have the mats. And we're going to move on to this page, which would be the last page, page 8. And for this page, we are doing 2 flat pockets, stacked pockets. Okay, and let me show you. We have 9.5 by 4.5, scored at a 1/2 inch at each end and across one long end. And this one is 9.5 by 3 1/4, and again, each short end and one long end have been scored. I'm going to trim out the corners. Excuse me, I've got my microphone cord. And there are other ways you could do this that would be less bulky, but I'm okay with having this bulk. I've left myself enough room. You'll see when we get to the binding. And also, I do want to be able to put lots of things in the pockets. So. Alright, so we've done that. And then I want to grab, I think for these pockets, I'm thinking about maybe punching something out of a half circle out. No, I don't think so. I'm gonna go with the clean look. You can if you want to. And then the other thing you could do is just cut like a notch that goes all the way across, but I want the clean look for this, so I'm just not going to. Oops. Hello, Jolly. How are you? Can I have my other pocket? Thank you. If you can't see, due to an obstruction, I am just folding and burnishing where I have scored it. Yeah, hi. Yeah, I see you. Come to help. Watch out for the scissors. Don't want you to poke yourself in the foot. Oh, big purrs. Where's your big purrs? Yeah. Hi. Oh. Okay. Checked in. Now you're leaving? There we go. Okay. Perfect timing. Now, we haven't got anything on the other side, so it doesn't really matter, but I want it on the right side as opposed to the left, not as opposed to the wrong. Okay, and I'm just doing a dry fit. So we're going to put this one like that. That looks good. And then this one is going to sit right on top of it. And that, yeah, that's fine. I'm just thinking to myself, that's going to go like that, and turn it. Yeah, that's where I just want to make sure I put it on a side where things are less likely to actually fall out of the pockets. All right. I'm not sure if I've even mentioned at any point thus far, although I will have mentioned it, I think, in the overview, but this is Artisan cardstock in the color Linen. I'm just going to grab one of these little scraps and spread that glue a little because I put quite a bit down there, which is a color I like a lot. I've only fairly recently started using it and I like it. Oops. I actually bought this to use with a different paper collection, but I haven't worked with that one yet, so I'll just buy more when the time comes. Okay. And just want to line that up. Looks good. This is a dry baby wipe that I'm using. I use the CVS brand. Pocket could be made with, by folding or just by not using tabs on it to reduce bulk, but I am okay with the bulk. I want to have a lot of room in these pockets to put things. Right, okay. Glue our pocket shut. Okay. Lifting it up to make sure I've got it lined up reasonably close to the edge. Okay. Oops. Really burnish this down well. Okay. And I'm just going to grab my scrap and make sure that I have not glued anything to shut that I don't want to. Felt a little sticky right there. Okay, there we go. And I'll do the same with this one. Good. Okay, I think we're at a good stopping point. Let me just review what we've done. And when we come back next time, we will make the cover and the binding. Maybe, or we might just decorate these flat. I haven't decided yet. Okay. All right, so this is page 1, and I have our sample policy envelope here, but we're going to make it out of this paper after we've put the base paper down. And then we have, let's see, I want to make sure I have them in order. I believe this is, I think this was the next page, 3, and then 4 with our flap, and again we need to put some matting there before we finish that one. Then we have our vellum pocket page, and on the back our diagonal belly band. This is going to be a flap with a window. You will have seen it now in the walkthrough. And then we have our double vertical pocket here. Okay, so next time I'm leaning towards making the cover, putting the pages in, and then doing the decorating. So I think probably that's what we're going to do next time. And let me give you some measurements. You will probably have already got the you've got the cutting guide, so you know what you need, but just in case, let me review it with you. You need 2 pieces 6.5 by 9, 1 piece 2.5 by 9, and 1 piece another piece 6.5. So 2 6.5 by 9, 1 2.5 by 9. Check the cutting guide though, because I'm still dithering as to whether this is wide enough. May go to 2 3/4, but you can check the cutting guide. It will be posted by now. I'll post it right at the beginning. And then I have 2 pieces that I didn't mark. How big are these? Let's see. 11 by 9.5. Okay, so 2 11 by 9.5. All right, and that's what you'll need for the cover, and we're going to work on that next time. So, all right, I will see you next time, and we'll get going with that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do so by hitting the subscribe button down below. And if you have subscribed, thank you so much. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss my next video. And I will see you next time. And this again is a design project for Country Craft Creations, and I will link down below. You can get all the supplies for this project there. Thanks again for watching. Bye bye.